The last couple of weeks, it's been sad, like sad, and just kind of a hurt feeling. The fact that another Black life has been taken from police brutality. It's something that you hate seeing, and it really hits close to home. I know I'm not feeling too great about it. My family members aren't feeling great about it. So it's something you hate to see, but all the protests that have been going on, it's great to see that. But it just sucks that it's another Black life that has to go for some change to happen and for the protests to go on. So hopefully something good will come of this in the coming months and years, and we move forward from this and end the racism.
Yeah, as Cordell said, I mean, a lot's been felt. I was, I didn't really know how to feel in the beginning. I was definitely hurt and upset and quite angered as well. I will admit I had to take a break from social media last week just to, I got tired of seeing, so all the violence that was taking place, and it was really difficult to see. So I just took some time, and I really needed that to collect my thoughts and so on, and just, kind of reach out, talking to my friends, family, and kind of gauge their thoughts to just, make sure that everyone else was okay, that everyone else was feeling the same emotions that I was. And, we started to see a lot of the people sharing social media posts about all the violence that was taking place. And that was the really difficult part for me. But that slowly changed into seeing a lot of positives, seeing peaceful protests, seeing people unite. And, Blackout Tuesday is a great example of, showing that people are actually willing to move forward with this movement. And, that's what's given me some optimism during this time. I think that we're moving in the right direction. And, I'm, as Cordell said, it's going to take some time. It's going to take weeks. It's going to take years, but that change is going to be felt soon. And I really think that this time we actually have a chance to really progress life for African Americans, for the Black community. It's, yeah, that was difficult. I mean, not a lot of people expect to see, a Black guy playing hockey. And, for both of us, Cordell and I grew up playing against each other, and we were always the token Black guy on our team. That comes with, some good, some bad. I mean, you're easily recognizable for the other team, but sometimes that puts a target on your back. People recognize if you're better than them. They try to do whatever they can to kind of take you out, and that could be in practice, that could be in games. You start to see some of the comments come out. In any sport, there's a lot of dialogue back and forth between competitors, but it's when it comes with a discriminatory nature, that's when it really becomes an issue and really hurts. And the worst part is, I mean, if someone says something to you, you try to turn to the ref and say, "Look, man, this guy just said this." It doesn't go anywhere. He can't. He's not. What's he going to do? Is he going to give him a penalty? He didn't hear it. It was our claim was unfound, and we could never really change that. In my experiences, I've had, road trips where I would always take my pregame nap, and I'd wake up and I'd have a banana on me. Never would find out who did it, but that was the case. And that was as a rookie. That was, second, third year, it would happen. And that is something that you kind of just have to swallow your pride, because all of a sudden you're going to lose teammates. And if you let that affect your play, then, you get traded, you get dropped down. You're in a competitive environment. People are going to do whatever they can to knock you down. And that's what's really been a difficult experience for us.
You might hear some remarks throughout a game and say something to a referee, and your response kind of goes unheard, because like he said, the refs don't hear what's being said, so they can't punish whoever said that. So that's something that I never had that happen to me during hockey, but when I was younger playing soccer, on a couple accounts, I was called the N-word, and same thing happened. Told the ref, but no repercussions for that person, because they never heard that. And it just kind of sucks that, I mean, sometimes people don't believe what you're going through because they don't see it from your end. And I think that's the biggest thing is we need people on our side to help us out sometimes, because in the hockey setting, like Theo said, where there's not black players are few and far between. So it's usually one or two guys on a team, if that. So there's definitely a different culture for us, but it's something that I think it's getting better, but it has far to go. I mean, if you see the NHL, all the stuff that's happened the past year with Akim Aliu coming out saying that he faced racism when he was coming up through pro, and he thinks that affected his career. I think that can be said for a lot of black players. It's a lot harder for them to break through in hockey because of the white culture that it is in predominantly white sports. So it's something that hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, and another thing, Alex, is like Cordell and I first met actually playing on the same spring hockey team. We played for a team called the Black Aces, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It was a team of all people of color who came together and wanted to prove that, yeah, we may not look like you, but we're just as good as you, if not better. And I think we proved that on a lot of occasions. We definitely had a chip on our shoulders, but when you put a team together like that, it comes with a lot of negatives as well. And, you know, we were very I like to think we were inclusive. Like, just because we were the Black Aces doesn't mean we didn't have people from all different cultures on our team. Like, if you looked at our team, we were half white too. And, you know, what's crazy is the white guys on our team actually got criticized in that situation. They got criticized by other people being like, oh, how did you end up with all these guys? And like, the worst part is, you know, we'd be called, like, we're the Black Aces. People would have different names for us. They call us the Black Faces, call us the Negro All-Stars. Like, that's the kind of negative comments that we would see on a daily basis. And it really wears you thin. And I mean, for us, we just kind of we just brushed the comments under the rug, and we said, you know what, you guys can say all you want about us, but the reality is we are going to beat you in this game. You know, that's when our competitive edge took over, and that's where we proved everyone wrong and showed that we could play, that we were just as good at hockey as they were, and that we could come into their sport that, you know, they claim to be theirs and that we're not supposed to be playing, and we could dominate them as well. And I like to think that, you know, over the years we won a lot of tournaments, we proved a lot of people wrong. So I'm definitely proud of that.
Yeah, back when that came out, it was definitely something that hurt, because it hit, like I said before, it hits close to home, being a player of color and trying to make it pro. Seeing something like that happen and having Akim go through that, it's tough to see, because that could be me in a few years. And seeing that happen, it sucks, knowing that there's the possibility that it's going to be harder for myself or Theo or whatever other person of color is trying to make it pro, because that racism does exist. So I know that this stuff happened a couple years back. I think it still does exist though, and I know the NHL has been trying to do its job to get rid of that kind of stuff, but I think it needs to keep on going. They need to keep building off of Akim coming out and just helping the players of color help grow the sport. So
I think the other thing with that is, like, I've read a lot of people's comments, responses to, you know, what some of the stories he shared of his experiences, and people are like, oh, why is this guy trying to ruin the league? Why is he, like, he was never good enough to make it anyways, and now he's just trying to, you know, get his name out there, get his claim to fame by, like, you know, tearing down the NHL, the league, and some of these players that he played with, like, trying to discredit them. That's not at all what he was trying to do. He was just trying to share his experiences and, you know, bring awareness to the discrimination and the oppression that he faced as a player. He was a hockey player like anyone else, and he just happened to be of color. And because of that, he had guys dressing up as him for Halloween. Like, that's unacceptable. And that's the kind of behavior that we're trying to get rid of. That's the kind of behavior that we're trying to move away from, and make everyone aware that, yeah, your subtle comments, your subtle actions, you may not recognize them, but yeah, they're microaggressions, and we don't appreciate them. They really do impact you, and they really do impact your career. Having to worry about not feeling safe in the dressing room because, of a hazing event that happened, the night or the week before, not being able to kind of get along with your teammates because of the hatred that you feel from them because of your skin color, that's unacceptable. And that can really definitely have a huge impact on your playing ability. And that's ultimately what decides your career. I'd say we've come a long ways. I mean, I've seen a lot of black hockey players in the league, and I look up to them. I was like, hey, this is someone that looks like me. I look up to them. I think the big one for me was Jarome Iginla. Seeing a guy that's of color and he's leading the team. He's the captain of the team, and he is one of the most prestigious players in the Calgary Flames organization. Like he was the man, and I really looked up to him, modeled my game after him, and it showed that not only could he be a successful player in the NHL, but he could also be a leader of a team, and that's what was really cool for me. Even after that, I always wanted to be a goalie as well, and I used to look at Kevin Weeks, Ray Emery, like those are guys that I loved because they had a different swagger to them, a different persona, and I really liked the way they carried themselves. And you know what? Because they didn't look like everyone else, they really stood out to me. And I thought, I'm in the same situation. These are the people that I idolize. So I definitely think there's a lot of guys that, have that same kind of experience, and they idolize the black guys, the black players before them. That's really great to see, and I hope that really continues. I hope that, we can, by getting more, black players in the league, we can really kind of change that culture and have everyone feel like they're going to be included and valued as a useful member of the team. So
yeah, touching on what Theo said too, I think that it's come a long way definitely from when Willie O'Ree played, and there's been a good deal of black players that have come into the league since then. And like Theo said, those guys growing up, those guys are my idols too. Like I love watching Jarome Iginla. Ray Emery was a big one for me because he's from around Hamilton, where I'm from. So knowing that there is still an opportunity for black players to make the NHL, those guys really give us hope and continue to give us hope. The guys like Wayne Simmons that keep on fighting every day to stay in the NHL. Joel Ward is a great guy too for that. He came a long way, played U Sports hockey, and found a way to make it to the NHL. So those guys give us hope that there is the possibility to make it pro, and hopefully it continues to grow, and we just keep on moving forward.
I don't know if I've seen a turning point yet. Every time it seems like, we start to see more black players, in minor hockey systems and junior systems, going into some of the professional ranks, there's always something that happens, an event that happens that really makes us take a step back. That's really the reality, is that you start to see, as you kind of grow, you start to kind of gain a network of black players of any ages really. And, you kind of hear some of their stories and you go, oh, wow, I thought you were doing really well in that environment. And then they tell you a story about, something their teammate did. Or Wayne Simmons, for example, during the NHL lockout, went to play in the KHL in Russia. And, he's just out there trying to be a hockey player like the rest of them, trying to do what everyone else did and go to Europe and play for, continue playing in a season while, the NHL wasn't going. And, he gets a banana thrown at him on the ice. You start to hear stories about making progress, or it's at least perceived that you're making progress. And then the revelations come out and you recognize that, no, we're not actually gaining any momentum here. I think we're doing much better in terms of including everyone. And there's a lot of programs that are in place now that actually are helping young players kind of get into the hockey system. I mean, a big thing is hockey equipment's really expensive, right? So when you have, some of these families who may not have the financial means to get buy hockey equipment. Sticks, skates are incredibly expensive now. It kind of, that's one of the barriers that you have for seeing Black players play hockey. But with some of these programs coming into place, like I worked at Canadian Tire Jumpstart was really good at giving back to the community and kind of providing equipment so that everyone can have opportunity to play. I think that allows people to see that they actually like the game, but that's at a young age. And when you get older, that's when you recognize some of the hardships that you're going to face by being a player of color. So that's the unfortunate part, is as you kind of grow and become more mature, that's when you start to come to the realization that you are kind of, limited to some extent.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is it all looks like it's okay on the surface. And like Theo said, when you start talking to other Black players and you hear their experiences, there's a lot of things that kind of get swept under the rug by those players because they don't want to come out and they don't want to say something because they think that it might affect their career moving forward. And I'm sure that's something that happened with Akim Aliu. That's why he's coming out now as opposed to back when it happened several years ago. Probably because he thought coming out was going to affect his career and his playing time. So I think that we've moved forward, but there's definitely still barriers out there. But like Theo said, like the Canadian Tire Jumpstart program, that's a good movement forward to help players get into the game. And then I know the NHL has the Hockey is for Everyone campaign. So I just think with more people speaking out about it and more NHL organizations and big name faces like Sidney Crosby and Jonathan Toews and those guys talking about it, and I think if they actually move forward and try to make a difference in the communities that they're part of and help get Black players into the game, I think moving forward we could be on the right track, but people actually have to make a change for that to happen. So we'll see. Yeah, no, I think being at Western and being varsity athletes there, I think we have a really good platform to speak out and let our stories be heard and speak out for the Black community. It's a privilege to be where we are, and I think our voices can be heard, and we have the resources to make changes. So I know myself and Theo, we'd like to do more than just post like an Instagram story to say that we're there. We actually want to help make a difference. So I think in the coming weeks we'll be trying to come out with something that gives back to the Black community, and moving forward we want to help make that difference. So we're excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, agreed. I think Cordell raised a good point. We definitely are equipped with the proper resources at Western to kind of help us have our voice heard. And I mean, this is one of the ways we appreciate you doing that. Alex, we have a lot of experience with the student athlete community and working with MASC, and I think that's really a great opportunity because it's it's helped me explore, some of the different elements within the university that I wouldn't really have gained exposure to otherwise, and I think that's helped me gain a lot of insight on how some of the athletes in other sports are treated and so on. I've made a lot of connections through that, and I think once again, that's one way that we are being equipped with a strong supportive community that we can kind of continue to work with moving forward here, as Cordell mentioned, as we kind of roll out our plan to kind of give back to the community, and not just the Western community, the city of London and surrounding as well. I think that's a community that supports us. That's a community that supports Western varsity athletics, and that's something that we'd like to focus on. And Cordell, I don't know if you noticed too, but sometimes when we finish our games, we have sometimes have minor hockey teams come in to watch our games and so on. And I like to think that we are, role models for some of those young players. And I've seen a few young Black hockey players around there, and I take pride in that because I carry myself, and Cordell and I both present ourselves in ways that, demonstrate strong leadership and, just strong character. And I really hope that those players do get a chance to look up to us and really see that we have, made it far. And, we didn't exactly make it to the professional level yet, but I think that's, we can demonstrate that, yeah, you are able to succeed as a hockey player.
Yeah, I think I think the biggest thing is them taking that first step and coming out of silence and speaking up. I think that to begin with, that's the biggest thing. It shows that they're there to support us and that they do care. So I think moving forward, it's doing a little bit more, like giving back to the community, going to these protests. I know there's players that have been doing that. I've seen Zdeno Chara's been at them, Tyler Seguin. I'm sure the list goes on, but I think it's actually doing something that helps. And speaking out is the first step, but it's going the next level. And I think they've been doing a good job so far, but it's just taking that next step now.
I think it's going to be the continued support. There's no doubt that these guys are paid very well. And, you've seen guys like PK Subban donate to George Floyd's funeral services, and, other professional athletes have done the same thing or similar things. I think, as Cordell said, the first step is, yes, breaking the silence, acknowledging that we do have a systemic issue that we have to address. The other thing is now these players really have to take it upon themselves to educate themselves and know what kind of comments that they may have been saying in the past would be seen as offside. And I think that's the big thing, is that if you do hear that happen in a game or hear that happen in a dressing room, that you are the one to step in and intervene and protect those players, because these players shouldn't have to feel alone as if they're the only one that's going to be stepping up if they were to call out a teammate for saying, for making a microaggressive comment. I think you need to know that your teammates have your back, and just because you're a different color than them, they're going to be there to support you. I think that's what really makes a cohesive unit, not just in hockey, but in any sport. So I think that's really, that's going to be, the kind of changes in the athletic environment that we need to start seeing. You know what, in my experience, I haven't had any issues. In terms of, starting with OUA hockey, no, I've never had any problems. I think Cordell and I would agree that, our teammates are very good. Our coach is very good. Our dressing room, our team atmosphere is good. We've never had any issues with that. In terms of varsity athletics, I'm not sure what it would be like in other sports. You look at football, basketball, have a lot of, Black players on their team. And I think those are all great. Those are all inclusive environments. And, hockey is one of those ones where, because it's still perceived as a white person sport, that's maybe where you would see a lot more of these issues. But we haven't had any of those issues thus far. Even looking out to other teams, I've never had anyone, say anything. And I think by this point, almost everyone in their career has played with a Black player, and so they understand what it's like to be in that environment and how they should be treated and so on. So, it's been nice that I haven't had to deal with those issues since I've been at Western. So I definitely haven't faced that. I think they're doing a good job. And the big thing is just maybe if these issues do arise in the future, that, we do see some punishable action kind of undertook, just so, whether it be in a game, calling the penalty or getting kicked out of a game for making a racist comment and being suspended. I think those are the actions that would be that we'd be looking for, similar to kind of addressing some of the homophobic comments as well. I think it's got to be treated the same way. They're discriminatory comments, and we don't need that in the game. There's no room for that in any game.
Yeah, no, I agree with Theo too. So far, being at Western and being on the hockey team, it's been great, and all the guys have been great. I've never really had a problem with anything of like being black or any of that. So, and the coaches have been great. So it's been good. I think the only thing moving forward just be maybe having the Western sport help us give back to the Black community, like maybe having a Black Lives Matter night or something like that, just to help address the issue.
I was going to say, no, I haven't been able to. I've been busy with work and I'm doing summer programs this summer. So unfortunately, I've had my hands full and I missed the Oakville protest on Thursday. Missed the Burlington as well. So some of the ones in the area I've unfortunately already missed. I think that's kind of why Cordell and I were looking for another way to take action. We may not have been able to demonstrate our support through the protests, but we want to find another way to make more sustainable change in our community, and hopefully we can give you some more information on that shortly.
Yeah, I haven't been able to get out to those protests either. I've been working Monday to Friday, so it's hard to get out to them when they're during the day. But me and Theo, we want to be able to give back. So we're trying to come up with something right now, and I think the biggest thing moving forward is that this doesn't end like this week or next week. Like all the Instagram posts are done. We have to keep moving forward with the movement and help to make change. So I think if we can do that in the coming months and years, it will get better. But we have to keep making change.
It's been great to see some of the outcomes of this, and I think that's why I'm optimistic that we actually will see some change. It's going to be prolonged, a long drawn out process, but that's the reality. If we're going to try and change everyone's kind of preconceived notions about towards Black people, then it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a week. It's going to take some time, and that's what we're willing to invest in. We're willing to invest in, sustainable change that's going to benefit not only us, but our next generation. So
I just want to say thanks to like all those NHL guys that are speaking out right now, especially guys like Evander Kane. He's been very vocal in this movement for the past year at least. He's been very vocal about it, saying that there needs to be change, and guys like JT Brown. So thanks to those guys for speaking out and wanting to make change for the younger Black players that want to try and move forward in this sport.
Thank you for those who are of the professional ranks that are sharing their stories, that have more exposure to just a larger following, and really just kind of sticking their necks out and being the ones to really promote change, because there's some of us that have dealt with similar issues, and unfortunately we don't have a big enough voice to be heard, but these are the ones that are stepping out there, making change, and I hope that really works out for the best.